A representative from Volusia County talks about what's at stake for municipalities when it comes to energy conservation.
When you look at the green practices, identify those practices that make sense.
Then we'll speak with the Orlando Utilities Commission about why they're encouraging people to use less energy.
We're a public service, and we need to make sure that our customers get what they need.
But first, we'll hear about the solar energy research being done in Brevard County.
I commented to a lot of people, as we all know the price of a gallon of gasoline, but we are clueless as to how much we pay for electricity.
3 Central Floridians talk about energy and ways in which it can be conserved. Next on Metro Center Outlook.
Hello, I'm Diane Trees. Although Florida has one of the highest rates of home electricity consumption in the country, it's also home to sunshine, a leading source of renewable energy. Today, we'll take a closer look at the alternative energies being used in Central Florida and the role of conservation in our region. Dr. Jim Fenton is the director of the Florida Solar Energy Center, an institute in Brevard County that researches and develops energy technologies. Jim, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
What kinds of research are you doing at FSEC?
Well, clearly with the Florida Solar Energy Center, we're working on solar, but most people aren't aware of the fact that we do a lot in energy efficient buildings. And so I have 40 professionals that work on retrofitting homes and making them more energy efficient. Energy efficiency is the cheapest energy you can get. It's best not to use it at all. And then clearly we do a lot of work in solar thermal hot water for the home. The photovoltaic, the solar to electric, that can offset some of your electric bills. And we're even getting to the point now in Florida where you can buy new homes that are net zero energy homes, super energy efficient, got the Energy Star appliances, lots of insulation, low flow shower nozzles and whatnot. And then also then a solar hot water heater on the roof and the photovoltaics. And over the course of a day, you're actually net using zero energy. But we also work on alternative fuels, biomass to gasohol and things along those lines. And then we have 5 folks that are tied into K-12 energy education, actually getting this into the curriculum in the classrooms in Florida.
One of the products that you had come out of this research was the Gossamer Wind Fan. How does that help consumers?
Yeah, well, you can go buy the Gossamer Windward ceiling fan at Home Depot. We've sold over 2 million of those now in Florida, and each ceiling fan actually saves you about $10 a year on your electric bill. Doesn't sound like much, but when you've sold over 2 million, it's on the order of $20 to $40 million a year in energy savings. And the interesting story behind that fan is the blade design was borrowed after the human-powered aircrafts that were developed to actually go across the English Channel. And so they very efficiently move air, more so than the traditional flat panels that we're all looking at on the ceiling fans. And so it actually saves a lot of money on the energy.
What are some common uses for solar energy?
Well, as we're aware, most of us in Florida enjoy the heat that's generated by that sun. And so you can heat water, and that's a big advantage. 15% of your energy typically is used in your home to make hot water. And so if you can use the free sun, you can go ahead and get that done wisely. And we're starting to see the prices for the photovoltaic or the solar electric panels to substantially drop. And we're getting to the point now where you can go ahead and put PV panels on your roof and pay comparable prices to what you're getting out of the wall.
Now, when you say PV, what are you saying?
So that's a photovoltaic. So that's where we take the energy, not in the form of heat from the sun, photons, and directly turn those into electrons, which are the things that carry the current through your electric lines.
If you look across Central Florida, who do you think's doing a good job utilizing solar energy right now?
Well, you'll find that a lot of the businesses that have large rooftops, like your Walmarts and some things like this, they're very energy conscious, so they know exactly what they're paying for all their bills. And there's a lot of cases where they can go out and purchase and put photovoltaics, the solar to electric, on their rooftops. And what it does is it fixes their energy costs for the next 30 years. And so as a result, they're sort of hedging then against these rising fluctuating costs. So these large businesses are starting to see this more. So you can find IKEA stores with photovoltaics on them in Florida around. Darden Restaurants has done this, as well as, of course, the utilities themselves have started to put in more solar projects. And there are a reasonable number of folks that are putting it on their roofs.
Residential
The
areas, you mean?
residential type of photovoltaics. Now, you got to keep in mind, traditionally you buy power out of the wall. So when you buy a power plant and put it on your roof, you're paying the upfront costs for that. And so a lot of this comes into the way that you can finance things. So the folks that are buying the zero energy homes, which might have the photovoltaics already on the roof, this is all lumped into their mortgage. And so you're paying it over a 30-year period of time, and it can be very cost effective to do that. Retrofitting your home, tearing out something, fixing it, is a little bit more labor intensive and whatnot, but there are still folks that are doing that as well.
That's one of the complaints that I hear. People say that it's so costly to go green, but the return on the investment, does that sort of make the outlay and initial expense a little bit easier?
Yeah, it's interesting how you look at that. Is that it's true that most of these things, more insulation, they require upfront costs, right? And you pay these back, of course, by your energy savings, which can occur over years. Now, if you have a creative way of financing it, such as through a 30-year mortgage in a home, so if you refinance your home, it might pay for you to borrow a little bit more money and do all the upkeeps, and then the paybacks are very quick. A lot of these kind of paybacks, people will hear, well, it's 5 years or 6 years. It takes too long, and so those can be stumbling blocks to get it done. A creative way we've been working with is that in Florida, when your air conditioner doesn't work, you immediately go get a new one. Right? And so what you have is your air conditioner contractor coming in. You can get rebates to get more energy efficient ones, right? But that's also a time when sometimes we're getting people to come in and put more insulation in because you demand that the air conditioner get fixed right away. And so there's creative ways we can get over these upfront costs.
And multiple ways to look at this for conserving energy as well. So,
exactly.
Does Florida's climate work for or against us in terms of the alternative energy sources?
Well, Florida's the sunshine state.
Yes.
And so you might expect that we have a lot of sun, and that's true that we do. All right. It's interesting is that the sun, of course, would provide then the energy for photovoltaics and electricity on our homes using the solar energy. Unfortunately, it's not just the sun that you have that. So as an example, in New Jersey, which doesn't get anywhere near the sun we do, people are putting solar electric on their roofs now. It's cheaper than paying for it out of the wall. A lot of our problem isn't the weather per se, it's that our current electricity is relatively cheap. The utilities have done a darn good job of that, okay? And so as a result, we haven't quite got to this point where people are taking advantage of that. But that'll change soon, and we do have plenty of sun. One of the other things people aren't aware of, we also have a lot of humidity, and we're also the lightning strike capital of the world. And so as a result, there's extra issues tied into this, just as there are with hurricane and wind protection. But we've overcome all these things technically. A lot of the cases, it's just the financing and making it easy for the consumer to take advantage of these products, whether they be energy efficient products or the renewable energy products.
Jim, with FSEC, what are some of the ways that you teach and educate people to go green?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it is just education on what your expenses and what your paying are for today. Most of us aren't very knowledgeable about our own energy bills. I commented to a lot of people, as we all know the price of a gallon of gasoline, but we are clueless as to how much we pay for electricity, or in a lot of the cases we don't even know how much we pay per month for electricity. And so to give you a different way of looking at it, if you were to put photovoltaics on your roof today, the cost for that electricity is 13 cents a kilowatt hour. Okay, well that means something to some people. You're typically paying 12 cents now out of the wall. But if I was to use that photovoltaics to power your electric car, its equivalent cost is $1.08 a gallon. And if you may recall, you haven't paid $1.08 in a gallon
Not
in
in
a
a
long
long
time.
time.
Okay, and if I was to put PV on your roof, it would be $1.08 a gallon for the next 30 years. Okay, and so it's a different way of looking at things. And so it's a paradigm shift in that maybe the future will be electric cars. Maybe you will have this PV, photovoltaics on your roof, making your own electricity, and you have not only a net zero energy home, but you actually aren't paying any money for your energy to power your cars too. So we'll see. It's an exciting time ahead. I think Florida, with the nice weather, with the 18 million people that we have, and unfortunately starting sort of in last place in a lot of these areas, we have the potential to be leaders. And I'm upbeat that we'll do that.
Very good. Thank you, Jim, so much for being here.
Yeah, pleasure.
When we come back, we'll learn why one Central Florida county is encouraging its residents to join the green movement. Katrina Locke leads the Volusia County initiative, Green Volusia, which is expanding energy-saving practices into county operations. Katrina, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Talk about Green Volusia. What is this all about?
Green Volusia is a program that is designed to educate the public about environmentally responsible practices they can do at home, so green practices for the home, and it was also to expand the county's green practices too, so expand the green initiatives within our own operations.
How did it get started?
It started actually in 2008.
So not that long ago.
No, not too long ago, and it was the county council adopted the program in 2008, and they gave us 3 areas to focus on. And one of those was to look at a green building ordinance. Another one was to look at our carbon footprint, and so to measure and to reduce our carbon footprint within the county operations, which we have moved towards doing. We created a baseline for those carbon emissions, and now we're looking at practices and have adopted some things already that have reduced those emissions. And then we're also, one of the other things that they asked us to do was look at certifying as the Florida Green Building Coalition's green local government. And we've succeeded in doing that in 2010.
How does the county go about encouraging conservation of energy?
Well, we look at it sort of 2 ways. One is that, within our own operations, our central services division, which is our facilities, have done some great projects in which they've done some retrofits on some of our buildings that have led to energy reductions. And then also we like to educate the public about things that they can do at home to conserve energy and reduce their natural resources use.
Now, you talked about it was the Florida Green Local Government, and that was the award, and it was given by the Florida Green Building Coalition.
Correct.
And I know that there were several cities in Volusia that also earned that distinction. Why do you think there is so much support for green in Volusia?
Well, I think one of the things that you can do is when you look at the green practices, identify those practices that make sense economically to the local governments and ways in which they can conserve energy and therefore potentially money as well. So that, from that perspective, that makes sense.
What about the residents in Volusia? What do you hear from them?
Well, we do, with the Green Volusia program, we do visit outreach events, and we also have a Green Volusia website, and the website has information on it for the citizens and the residents. So from our outreach events, we certainly get some positive feedback when we're talking to them about things that they can do at home, not just from an energy perspective, but also from other savings of natural resources through water reduction in homes and those type of things. So we do get a good response. And then we were also, a while back, we were able to do a couple of small focus group where we were able to reach out to citizens and ask them about ways in which we can promote the Green Volusia program and ways to make it more relevant to them.
How do you go about changing people's attitudes and making them aware? Is it through the programs that you do? Is it educational? Is it fun?
Through the educational, basically right now through education and outreach, so more through the outreach, through information we provide on the website, and also attending those events in the community.
What are some ways for residents to get involved with greening the county?
Okay, so they can look at their own practices at home and see if there's ways in which they can make differences, whether it's at their home or in their businesses. And then also, environmental management in Volusia County have a number of ways in which residents can get involved, and whether it's through volunteering at a cleanup event. We have an event on the St. Johns River and another one which is a coastal cleanup event, so they can get involved in those type of things. But then they also get more involved by educating themselves further about ecosystems in the county and the natural lands, and there's programs available for them there too.
What about the schools? Are you involved with anything in outreach to younger people, or?
Not as much at the moment, although it's something that we would like to expand upon as we move forward.
It takes a lot of continuous effort. I would imagine too that some people, when they start looking at your programs, do you find that they get more involved? Are you seeing people come back and sort of expand on their knowledge base?
Well, as I say, mainly right now we're looking, a lot of what we do is the outreach events. So we may see somebody just 1 or 2 times, so we might not interact with them again, but that would be something that we definitely look to in the future, is just seeing how the information that we provide is changing people, if it's having an impact on their behaviors, or if it's providing them, if we're able to provide them with good information.
Right. Katrina, what's next for Green Volusia?
Well, we have a few things in the works right now. One of them is something that we did a while back, is a sustainability or green backpack that we had in the libraries. And we're just updating
The
those.
public libraries
In the
around the
public libraries in Volusia County, yes, thanks. And so we're updating those with some new information, and they'll go into circulation later on, hopefully in the spring. And then folks can then check those out, and they get to keep them for 3 weeks, and there's information in those backpacks to help them, you know, increase their green practices at home. And then from a perspective of outreach, you know, to look at ways in which we can increase the outreach and how we get our information out to the public. And then to look for community partners as well.
Katrina, thank you so much for the
You're
information.
welcome.
After the break, we'll talk with a representative from the Orlando Utilities Commission about simple ways to save energy at home and at work. Tim Trudell works with the Orlando Utilities Commission to spread their goal of using energy more efficiently.
Tim, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
What's the biggest energy drainer in the average home?
Well, typically in Florida, although right now we're in a little bit of a cold snap, but we've seen traditionally where your air conditioning obviously is the biggest consumer of electricity in the home, about 50% or so. We recommend to our customers you try to keep that at 78 degrees maxed out when you're at home, and then when you're gone about 85 degrees. Programmable thermostats have made that a little bit easier to manage, but absolutely your air conditioning unit is number one.
So the easiest way to fix that, then, you're saying, is to alter your temperature, not necessarily more insulation or anything, but just alter your temperature.
Well, insulation's another factor, but absolutely. I mean, if you can use a ceiling fan when you're in the room, because when you're not in the room, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. You're just wasting power that way. But if you can really start thinking of that thermostat in terms of dollars, because what we see is, say if you go 78 degrees, if you go 77, 76, each time you do that, each degree is about a 6 to 8% addition to your bill.
That's
so
quite a bit.
Start thinking about that in terms of dollars, and by just changing that button a little bit, you're going to be saving money each month.
What are some other simple money-saving techniques that people can do around the house to save some energy?
First thing you can do right now, just think about what you're doing inside your home. Really think about it. Think about the TVs that are on when maybe you're not in the room. Think about washing clothes. There's a huge difference between using cold water and hot water. It's about 14 times more expensive to use hot water versus cold water.
Because your electricity heats the hot water.
That's exactly right. And your hot water heater is a huge consumer of electricity as well. There's all kinds of rebates and incentives that different utility companies have out there. It's good to contact your provider and see what you might be eligible for because there is a real cost savings in becoming more efficient inside your home.
You talk about energy savings. Most companies don't encourage their consumers to use less of a product.
Right.
Why does OUC take that approach?
Yeah, we're pretty unique in that. You don't hear that a lot,
No, you
where
don't.
people are saying, hey, why don't you use less and we'll make less? Well, I think the biggest thing is we're conscious about our consumer base. We're a public service, and we need to make sure that our customers get what they need, not just with a reliable service, but also one where we truly care about our customers. If they start getting these huge bills, we're going to hear from them, and we want to make sure and protect them. So one of the ways that we do that is by offering an innovative and unique set of programs that really make their lives a little bit easier if they take advantage of them.
I saw your website has an extensive list of different ways and avenues to take for conservation like that. You have a green LEED certified or a gold LEED certified building downtown. Is that an easy thing to do? Can
No.
other businesses follow that example?
Well, it's not an easy thing to do, and it wasn't easy for us, but we wanted to kind of set the tone. And by having that headquarters building kind of at the intersection of the 408 and I-4, it really becomes a, hey, you know, look, they're doing it, maybe we can do that too. And if we can get some of our customers to emulate that, not just in their businesses, but also in their own homes. I mean, we're certainly not going to see a bunch of LEED certified homes all over the place, but we are starting to see new homes being built that are much more efficient. And, you know, that's going to make a big difference moving into the future.
How did solar energy come into the mix for OUC?
We've got a really good solar team that's been working for some time. At our Stanton Energy Center in East Orange County, not too far away, we have a huge solar farm. You can see it from Innovation Way. You can see it when you're flying into Orlando too. You might see the power plant. You'll see 25,172 solar panels there. It's huge. We're also offering a community solar farm, which we've sold out, I think, in 6 days, which is over off I-4, where we gave a chance for our customers to buy solar power, which was really cool. And so we're seeing a lot of interest, especially, and I think we mentioned earlier about one of the dynamics of Orlando is a large chunk of our customers, about 50% or so, are in multifamily housing. So they might want solar on their roofs, but they don't own the home. So what do? Well, we're giving them an opportunity, like with the community solar farm, where they can purchase a piece of solar power without having the costs associated with that.
Do you think it's making a difference with people, the awareness? Are you seeing a difference in conservation efforts?
Yeah, I mean, we are. Our customers are more efficient for a variety of reasons. I mean, certainly there's economic reasons where, people are saying, I want to make decisions solely based on money. And you're also seeing environmental things where people are saying, I want to make decisions and I want to do what's right, for certainly a finite resource. So we're seeing both of that. Both of those things are important, and they're both correct. We want our customers to realize that they're, that these resources are there, but we want to try and protect them. And I think with the LEED building and some of the other examples that we've talked about, we've got solar panels, by the way, on the convention center as well. Landfill gas is another project that we do, which is the Orange County has a landfill right there by Stanton Energy Center.
Right. So the landfill gas is another green initiative that you're undertaking as well.
Yeah. I mean, what would have happened with that gas is they would just burn that off and that's it. But what we've been able to do is create about 22 megawatts of energy into our Stanton Energy Center, which we co-fire with our coal plants to reduce some of the burden there. And it's just another great example. We've worked with the county very hard on that project. So yeah, we've seen a lot of really neat initiatives, and we've got a great team that's worked hard behind the scenes to make that happen.
Tim, home builders, contractors, new businesses, should they be looking at the cost benefits of going green before they get into development?
Certainly. I think there's certainly an appetite for that. We're seeing more and more of that. People are looking at homes and businesses and looking at to see what the energy costs are, which is fantastic because people are doing their homework. One thing I want to add is we have also a lot of homes and businesses in our area pre-1980, homes that aren't that efficient, businesses that aren't, and we're starting to see more and more people interested in making improvements. One thing that OUC has, which is kind of interesting, is we have a preferred contractor network. So before you make those upgrades to make your older home like new, you can take the guesswork out of making a decision. We've vetted them. We have various categories where people can find who does insulation the best or who's certified to do that, and we make that easy for them.
Your website has a plethora of free services for people. Anyone in particular that you would advise people to take advantage of?
Yeah, we're really proud of our website, and it's not just for OUC customers. Any customer, anybody out there in the general public that's watching this right now can log on right now and do a free online home energy audit. It will take you through the home from the ground to the roof and give you explanations and tips of things you can do, and you can do it very fast. It's also pretty thorough, and it can make a huge difference in your monthly utility bill.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
That's all for our show today. Visit wucftv.org/metro for interactive features, special content, and more. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Diane Trees.